Nice blue sky, we're going sailing. Dave will be down shortly. Well, that crane is berthed on Bravo 13, which is my old berth. They've moved me down to E3. One bit of good news is we're taking in Juna today, so we haven't got to bail Dave's dinghy out. Can I help you with one at one end, isn't it? We're doing it again. So we've just come out of there. We should have gone up there to go sailing, but he's turned down there.
Because it's so much more attractive, so much more beautiful, so much more...
So I did say earlier that I was quite pleased earlier because we were taking in Juna, which meant we didn't have to bail your dinghy out, but we still ended up bailing your dinghy out.
How long did it really take? Less than a minute.
Now we're heading the wrong way for sailing. You wouldn't believe what we got to do here.
Yeah, it's clean, it's qualitative, and we're going to protect some of Cool Running's assets that Mrs. Oliver produced for me, and I've promised to keep them nice over the winter.
Oh, it's not all of your cushions, or
No,
is it?
Just
So do you remember? This is about that we had that debacle with your cushions. It seems just months ago, and now we're at it again.
Now.
Putting those cushion covers on there.
Could you, instead of
Took us
moaning,
hours.
tell them about my new mooring buoy position?
Dave's been moved 2 meters.
Yeah.
2 meters. They've moved his mooring buoy into the middle of the river, deeper water. His rudder was catching the bottom of the riverbed on a low spring tide. Taking all the gel coat off, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I kid you not. This is Dave's latest bird scarer. What have you got to say for yourself?
I've got to
bird scarer.
I have got grandchildren.
Ooh,
look at that.
What do you mean, look at that?
Clean walks and a tiny locker. I've never seen it that tiny, ever.
My locker's always tidy.
No, your locker's never been tidy.
My locker's always tidy.
It's usually a shameful thing to open it. That's actually not shameful. What now?
So Dave, we got a subscriber. His name's Gary. Hello Gary. Excuse me for this, what I'm about to do. Gary lives in Japan. He's British.
Oh.
And he's a sailor.
Yeah.
He's got a lovely boat. He sails single-handed around some lovely Japanese harbours.
I don't like the way you keep putting me in the bottom left of your screen, you know. It's not right.
You're tall enough to be. You're not tall enough to be in the top.
Just
left.
get on with it. Yeah.
So Gary is. Well, he wrote this. He's obviously needing a bit of TLC. This Gary. And he mentioned Andy. By the way, it's beautiful weather today.
Andy, I bet you're indoors sewing cushions, are you? It's that sort of day for you.
Andy,
sunny, blue sky.
Andy will not be outdoors. He will not be near his boat. That's for sure. But anyway, Gary is a little bit jealous of Andy, and he said, well, he actually says, I'm jealous of Andy, so next time could you lean across to me in Japan and say, what do you reckon, Gary?
What do you reckon, Gary? Come on, get out in that boat of yours.
Gary, we love you, Gary. We're thinking of you.
Yeah.
You're on our minds. Don't run aground here, Dave. Don't you run aground over there?
No, I've never run aground. You have, right here, by the way.
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're thinking of you, Gary.
Yeah, we are.
Hope you feel the love coming across those oceans.
Send us a picture of sailing in Japan.
Yeah.
Tell us something different about lunch. Do you really have sushi at anchor?
Poor old Gary. All there on his own.
Andy, so yeah, tell us what you really are doing. Look at the sky, Andy. Look at it.
What's the date today? It's my daughter's birthday, so it's the 12th of November, Andy.
Yeah.
Thursday the 12th of November. We'd like a comment. We'd like to know what you're up to today.
Everyone wants to know what you're up to, even Practical Boat Owner. Big thanks, by the way, to PBO.
Andy.
Yeah.
Yes, Andy got a mention in PBO.
Yeah. Practical Boat Owner, Andy, you're in it. Page 13.
The latest edition.
Yeah. Oh, here comes.
Now he's very attentive when he's on cool runnings, but he's a bit carefree when he comes to his helming in Juna. So I'm keeping an eye on him as the tide's on the ebb right now.
Yeah. Sun's in my eyes, Andy. The sun. Can barely see. I need to get my shades on.
What were you saying about my my medical kit earlier?
Oh, I need to show them that. All I needed was a bit of ibuprofen. I got a locked up back, and I went in there. And there's the totality of his drug section of his first aid kit is half a box of a small paracetamol. That's it.
It's a good first aid kit. It's packed with stuff.
Yeah, packed with stuff we never use, and not got anything we always use. Got a nice burn, really nice burn blanket. No, don't start preening yourself like a bird in front of a mirror. That is an appalling kit. You know it is. It's poor.
It's not a bad kit.
It's so rotten you can
Anyway,
barely
what were
open
you saying?
the
You
zip.
got a new one?
It's so rotten you can barely open the zip. Stop, keep turning it round to yourself. We have got lunch on board today, by the way.
Yes.
Quite a lot
Right,
to
hang on
live
a minute
up to.
then. It's Dave's turn to do lunch. So he says he's got a lot to live up to. He's got a lot to recover from. He's that cheese sandwich from 2 trips ago.
3 cheese toasty. People were writing in on that, asking for the recipe. Here they were.
Okay, I'll give them the recipe. Bit of bread, bit of cheese.
Hot pan, it's got to be done just right so it's crispy. Cheese on the outside as well as on the inside. You loved it anyway.
So anyway, Dave's cooking
You loved
today.
it, you
Dave's
two-faced kid.
cooking
You loved
today.
it.
I did. Dave's cooking today.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're having, but I'm looking forward to it. We're going to go to Newtown Creek. No pubs open today or these days, is
There's
there?
a lovely pool there though.
But we found a little odd anchoring spot which we're not convinced we can get in today. It's low tide at midday. But we're going to probably run aground, as we always say. Nearly as warm as Japan, this, isn't it?
Andy, we've been going an hour and it's still sunny.
Gary. Oh yeah,
No,
Andy.
Yeah, it's quite warm. It's a bit too warm for me, to be honest. It's not a day to be stuck indoors, is
Look
it?
at it. Lovely day to enter Newtown Creek. Anything to say to Gary? So anyway, I called him up yesterday and I said, what time should we leave? And he said, should we get down there for 8:30? So I'm up at 7 o'clock, 6:45 this morning. And honestly, we don't know what to do. We were here so early. We're anchored up. It's still only 11 o'clock. Too early for lunch. Obviously the conversation's not what it could be. He just wants to go to sleep with his bad back. He's got a bad back, so I've been doing everything today.
So we had a bit of an experience, which we'll talk about momentarily, but we had to weigh anchor, having only been there about 10 minutes. There's a bit of miscalculation going on. We very nearly wrapped the anchor chain around a Maury boy, didn't we, Skipper?
Easy.
So, do you want to explain what you're actually
No,
doing
no.
here? Because I thought this was quite good, actually.
Well, I'm using cooking foil
Yeah. Came well prepared.
to make a template. That's all you need to know.
Okay, we'll show you the finished product, we hope. So the cooking foil gaffer tape template is now in place over the Borgum. And it's actually been beautifully cornered. Look at the precision of that. It's quite impressive.
You're witnessing a compliment. Now these are rare. These are very rare, these compliments, but
Barely deserved, but
the moment's still got plenty of opportunity to go
Yeah.
wrong, hasn't it?
I bet Andy's indoors doing something like this as well, in the warm. Oh, there's the straight edge. That's our table mat.
This is my protective
Oh,
cover for
oh.
my chart table.
Yeah.
Did we get the template right?
Let's have a look. Corn. That's not bad, mate, is it? Actually,
Oh, that's bang on, isn't it?
really nice.
Just come across there a bit more.
At least we've got a backup, as it were.
I've got my fire extinguisher ready.
Double up use of the template, which I think is quite impressive. No waste on this boat. Dimbleby would be proud of us.
Look at that new protective cover. It's needed in use already. That.
He's actually got quite a few pans left. So that's the soup in there, but actually we're currently cooking some chorizo.
He's just spilt the soup down my wine cabinet. I don't even want to open that now and look inside there. Nevertheless, this food looks pretty good. What is this, Steve?
This is broccoli and cheese and cream soup.
Broccoli, cheese, and this is just a start. We got a main course coming. Now this is getting like a competition, isn't it? We've gone from a cheese sandwich, which frankly
Was delicious.
was
Delightful.
a little bit embarrassed.
Outstanding.
Awkward was the
No,
word.
it wasn't.
It was a little bit awkward.
You loved
So it's
it.
gone from a cheese sandwich, then it went to homemade hummus, homemade bread actually made and cooked on the boat.
Yeah,
That was-
that's true.
That was impressive. That was not awkward.
Homemade halloumi.
Homemade halloumi and all that stuff. To a two-course proper sit-down meal with a starter and a main course. That, I gotta say, is up in the stakes.
Hey, they keep it coming.
But he still insists on margarine instead of some
Because you
decent
can't
butter.
spread it on your boat. It's not hot enough. Can't spread butter.
I've never ever seen you eat any butter. It's always margarine at
Well,
home or on boat. Don't give me that.
I'm looking after myself.
David, that was a very good soup. Would you very well homemade, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So would you give my appreciation to Jill? Because I'm
I think-
quite convinced she
No,
made
I
that.
think that one I did actually make. You're optimistic.
Hi, Dave.
Hi Jill, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm so sorry to disturb you.
You're alright. You're
Just
not disturbed.
it's only a very quick question. I'm just intrigued to know who made that soup that I've just eaten. It was delicious.
We probably made it together, to be honest.
Yeah, good girl. Good
Oh,
girl.
you disappoint me, Jill.
We usually do things like that together.
And this second course,
Yeah.
you're going to give us the lowdown on
Yes,
where it
so-
came from,
It's.
what it
I
is,
was
and
going to do risotto rice, but it takes a good half an hour on a steady hob, and I thought no. So I'm afraid it's Uncle Ben's roasted garlic rice,
okay, that's good.
which is going to be in a moment placed with stock and peas. I've fried some chorizo off, and I've got a effectively a reduction, a base which is spicy base. So you've got spicy rice, spicy base, chorizo, and peas in Uncle Ben's rice.
Oh,
Poor man's
perfect.
risotto. In other
Perfect,
words.
perfect.
I just bring parmesan and forgot it, so that's a point to you. Right.
That jumper's a bit tight on you, isn't it?
Say again?
That jumper's a bit tight on
It's
you.
because it's on top of another one. Makes it a bit tight.
Hanging like an old sack off the back. Hey, look at that. Nice.
Let's give it a whirl then. See what happens, shall we?
Right, you are, skip up.
Smaller bowls would have done bizarrely. I thought it was going to... That backfired on you, didn't it? Talking to my wife.
Yeah, it did a
right.
bit. It did a bit.
Serve
Yeah,
me
I
right.
honestly expected to get a different answer. I really did. That was good. I'll tell you who would have enjoyed that. Gary would have liked that.
Oh,
wouldn't
Gary, forget sushi. Chorizo, smoky chorizo, fried, patted down with some kitchen roll, fresh English garden peas, nice little bit of rice, and a spicy base just to pour over it to complete the meal.
Changing the subject. We
Just went peak.
yeah, I just made a new clip. We owe the French, don't we?
How many times have you folks cheered on the French in rugby? Be honest. And I bet every one of you who's a rugby fan, end of Six Nations, final day, weren't we all cheering on the French?
Yeah, they did a sterling job holding off the Irish.
Mind you, it's a horrible day. Andy was probably out, probably didn't even watch it. He was probably out sailing. Horrible,
point.
filthy day.
Good point.
Raining, windy.
And the Japanese are starting to play rugby a bit, aren't they?
Yeah.
Remind Gary of home.
Yeah, won't it just? Eddie Jones
Yeah.
led the Japanese to fame and glory in the previous World Cup. You know how he was so excited to show you the inside of his locker? There's not many people be that excited. It's because it's the first time since he's owned the boat that it's actually been clean or tidy. He's been so ashamed of my objective, honest reporting section. But I thought I'd show you something else. Yeah, he's worried I'm moaning, but you know he showed us his locker just now. I thought you might like to see his engine cover. And and look at this on his seating area. Let me move the cushion a little bit. He swears blind he didn't miss with the saw, but look at it. Look at that. That's his cockpit seats.
I think he got his calculations wrong.
Yeah.
Poor chap. Or he's broken from his moorings. Lovely colours of autumn.